Coming up, San Jose joined other major cities on Saturday in a March for Science.
The second annual Silicon Valley Comic-Con came to town. See how it helps the local community.
See how SJSU baseball fared against St. Mary's. Update News starts now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communications at San Jose State University, your source for what's happening with a fresh perspective on today's issues. You're watching Update News.
Welcome to Update News. I'm Jiwing Nguyen.
And I'm Omar Perez. The main goals of the March for Science are to help raise the funding for science and to celebrate the new discoveries scientists are constantly making.
This is not a world of alternative facts. This is not a world of alternative facts.
Throughout the March for Science, 10,000 people came together and continuously chanted slogans to protest against President Donald Trump's proposed budget cuts and his remarks pertaining to climate change. Numerous people gathered at the San Jose City Hall with signs and placards and were also wearing t-shirts in support of science and democracy.
So our goal is to take all the marchers that come out and plug them into volunteer opportunities, get them engaged in calling their elected officials and pushing for better policies.
The March for Science aims to unite a diverse group of people to appreciate the contribution science has made to our daily lives and to call for elected officials so that they can fund science.
It's very important that we make our decisions on how to go forward in this country, on how we spend money, where we put our energy.
The March for Science started out as a Facebook event, and this was the first time it took place in San Jose.
We need to stand up for what is right and what is true instead of just letting our president indoctrinate us.
Some of the key speakers for the March for Science included founder of the Black Girls Code, Kimberly Bryant, PhD neurologist and actress Mayim Black, and the school programs manager for Monterey Bay Aquarium, Jennifer Matlock. Actress and science buff Rachel Bloom led the march as an MC of the event. The March for Science raises awareness about how science positively affects human beings, and in order to continue to protect the funding for science, there will be a daily call to action which started on April 23rd and which will go up till April 29th, as well as the Climate Change March, which will be taking place this Saturday at San Jose City Hall. This is Aruba Cosme, Update News.
To raise awareness among college students about the impact of suicide on college campuses, 1,100 backpacks representing the lost lives were displayed on Tower Lawn.
In an effort to spread awareness about the loss of life and youthful potential, friends and families donated backpacks of students who committed suicide. They were displayed on Tower Lawn and portrayed their personal stories and pictures. For the first year, San Jose State hosted the campaign called Send Silence Packing in an effort to help the student community come to terms with depression and mental health.
A lot of these students, they committed suicide from a mental illness that could have been prevented.
The display of 1,100 backpacks belonging to suicide victims clearly reflected the enormity of the problem. Mental health resources were offered to anyone who is curious about learning the signs of suicide in order to help themselves as well as others around them.
1,300 can seem like a really small number, but seeing it laid out like this, it really makes it real. It brings a face to the names of those who have been lost.
The aim of the program is to help students identify and deal with signs of depression and anxiety before it leads to the extreme state of suicide. It also encourages students to talk about it and be emotionally open to people who might be going through such crisis.
Being an RA on campus, it kind of makes me more aware of my residents, and I actually have a couple who are having issues right now, so it kind of makes me a little more worried, and I'm hoping maybe they'll see this today and ask for help if they need it.
San Jose State offers several resources for students through the Wellness Center and through counseling services. This is Janae Mims with Update News.
Diversity Day 2017 happened last Thursday at San Jose State University's 7th Street Plaza. Was a chance for the diverse SUSU student population to show off what they have in terms of culture and identity. For all the events and incidents that have happened recently in the U.S., Diversity Day 2017 allowed SUSU students from different backgrounds and identity to show to the audiences the beauty of their own cultures. The event observed the on-stage performances of over 20 groups, including SUSU's Sahay, Cesar Chavez Community Action Center, and
the motivation today overall, I would just say, is to promote the overall diversity and the students, getting them involved and having them feel appreciated on campus. That's, I feel, is our #1 priority, and that's what we're trying to do here.
I also learn more about the student organizations and all the culture and diversity on campus. I think the event is perfect for people on campus to learn more about what's going on, about the student organizations and things that they can be involved in to hopefully have a more successful future here at San Jose State.
Samir Saran is being accused of illicit campaign tactics following the Associated Student presidential elections. Saran allegedly scattered campaign flyers around the off-campus colony apartments, which some residents felt was invasive and, according to the AS Election Regulations Manual, goes against campaign policies. University Affairs Committee student at large Jerry Lee, a resident of Colony Apartments, said that the flyers were stuck on doors and scattered through the hallways.
Only authorized people are allowed to go and enter the apartment, and they need even more authorization to send out pamphlets and flyers. And last but not least, he made a big mess.
Saran, who posted a now-deleted video of himself on Facebook allegedly campaigning in the Colony Apartments, did not respond when Update News contacted him to comment on the situation. When speaking to SJU Spartan Daily, Saran said, "People love me so much that they call me to talk to them on their apartments about my vision. All those allegations are really false, and I don't really care about them." Coming up, Comic-Con took over the streets of San Jose.
A new art exhibit in the Thompson Gallery looks at everyday life.
Is it trashing or is it fashion? We'll find out more when Update News comes back. To find out more about Comic-Con, let's send it over to Jessica Howell in the newsroom.
Silicon Valley Comic-Con came back to the Bay this past weekend for its second time in San Jose. Through Silicon Valley Fashion, technology added another dimension to Comic-Con, a nationwide comic and entertainment convention. Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple and Bayer Native, and his friends brought technology to the forefront of their con. Trip Hunter, the CEO of Silicon Valley Comic-Con, says every aspect of the con is to give back to the San Jose community and invited San Jose State's robotics and space engineering teams to partake in this weekend's festivities.
We invited them to come and be a part of it, and they have a booth set up inside, and they're showing some of the technology that they've developed.
The SJSU chapter of SEDS, Students for the Exploration and Development of Space, joined the con, and the president of the chapter, Jordan Pollard, and his team brought rockets they've worked on and launched.
Wanted us to present the projects that we work on, and to kind of bring to the community what we do at San Jose, and why, kind of raise awareness as to why we think space travel is important and why people should join the aerospace program.
They launched their rockets with the help of the Rocket Club to bring the theories they learned in class to reality.
Probably in the range of like 40 or 50. A lot of members these rockets are reusable as well, so one rocket may launch multiple times, maybe even like 4 times a day.
Another SJSU group that joined the con was the Robotics Club. President of the Robotics Club, Khalil Estelle, says he hopes people see what SJSU engineering program has to offer.
We're trying to get more exposure to SJSU robotics and as well as SJSU as a whole and what we do as engineers there. And our rover's a good example of what you could learn, what you could build after going to SJSU and becoming an engineer at our university.
They brought a couple of their projects with them, including an electric skateboard and their main project, their Mars rover.
The Mars rover is a astronaut assistance rover built for a competition called the University Rover Challenge.
Silicon Valley Comic-Con offers students the opportunity to show off their work to the public and demonstrate how much they have learned. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Jessica. Now we have Rebecca Parayu with more on A&E. What's up, Rebecca?
Thanks, Omar. We have some interesting news in the world of arts and entertainment this week. Legends of the unicorn have been around for centuries, but find out what all the fuss is about on Starbucks' new unicorn drink. Samantha Verdugo has more on this.
Starbucks hopped on the unicorn obsession with its limited edition unicorn frappuccino this past weekend. According to Starbucks' financial statement, innovation beverages like the unicorn frap are boosting their annual sales.
I think companies like Starbucks create these drinks and only do it for a limited time to be able to generate that buzz.
Starbucks launched a 5-day unicorn frappuccino that started April 19th. The flavor-changing and color-changing drink was only available at limited locations. Many loved the drink so much that they posted photos all over their social media.
I really liked it and I really want them to bring it back. I think it was a really creative drink.
April 23rd was the drink's last day of sale, yet the drink's popularity was too much for barista Francisco Franco.
It was wild, like people kept calling and ordering it. The worst part was when we ran out, like it was so sad to see like all the little kids that didn't get it.
It's not the first time Starbucks has launched limited time drinks. The company rolled out a limited edition Pokemon Go Frappuccino last December and has launched a vampire-themed Frappuccino around Halloween.
SJSU students just can't get enough of the Unicorn Frappuccino. This is Samantha Verdugo, Update News.
The ever-changing nature of everyday life has been captured on film in the new art exhibit at SJSU's Thompson Gallery. Abraham Escalante with a bit more.
Hot dog-shaped house, graffiti tags, storefront churches. These are some snippets of everyday life that Seymour Rosen captured on film for future generations. For the next 3 weeks, SJSU's Natalie and James Thompson Gallery is the home of a new photography exhibit demonstrating the ephemera of everyday life in an exhibit titled Seymour Rosen, You Haven't Seen Everything Yet.
He believed that not all of these things, but so many of these things were so ephemeral that they were really pretty universally unrecorded.
The exhibit showcases a broad range of Rosen's work, from experimental, abstract photography to everyday shots of strange-shaped buildings and even the storefront churches of LA during the 70s.
I can see them gravitating towards these other photos that he took with a lot of people in them and protests and county fairs. And then you have some people who are more into the abstract side of things, and there's something here for you.
Photography has changed drastically from the time when Seymour Rosen started taking pictures. The gallery runners hope this exhibit will inspire people to slow down and think about their shots.
I want our photo students to really see this and enjoy it and really see what's possible when you slow down and take your time and really frame a picture, a scene, and make it yours.
The art exhibit runs until May 19th in the Thompson Gallery here at San Jose State. For Update News, Abraham Escalante.
Trash and used clothes are making their way down the runway. Saja Muhammad has the scoop.
Instead of sequins and lace, cardboard and plastic debuted onto the runway and were the major looks of the night. Conservation and recycling was the theme for the Trash and Fashion Show held by SJSU's associated students, and the participants took the challenge to heart. Students took on the roles of designers and models, and the looks they were flaunting were pieces you would not find in a regular fashion show. For the top model of the show, Antoinette Marie, this was a win-win situation where she showed off her love for the environment and for fashion.
Recently I was inspired by a lot of celebrities that are starting to wear renewable resources actually on the runway versus $1 million dresses.
Programming board member and MC of the event, Nayeli Lopez, said that because the show was to bring awareness to Earth Day, she wanted the participants to be as natural as possible with their choices in material.
Just students in general to be creative and use different kinds of materials that are recycled to show off what they can do.
The show was run in 2 parts, where they featured recycled clothing in the beginning and then followed by clothing made of recycled materials. Top designer was awarded a sewing machine to give them a start on their design career, and the top 3 model winners would get a free Great America ticket. Paige Redmond, the design winner, was inspired to enter because she wants to be more eco-friendly and has taken up the hobby of reusing materials for daily use.
So yeah, I think it's important to show our community that there's a lot to do with trash, especially like paper bags and cardboard boxes and plastic bottles.
With environmental issues being hotly debated between the Trump administration and environmentalists, SJSU's Trash and Fashion Show organizers say the event helps people realize just how important conservation issues really are. This is Saja Muhammad for Update News.
And that's all I have for arts and entertainment.
Thanks, Rebecca. Find out how President Trump plans to grow the American economy. Prices at the pump will be raising soon. We'll have more on that. Before we move on to the next story, we would like to make a correction on a story we ran on our April 14 show about student debt. We want to clarify that SJSU Humanities professor Cynthia Rostenkowski said in her lecture titled The Aesthetics of Debt, Not a Pretty Picture, that although ads for credit cards and mortgages show debt as appealing and essential for success, debt is actually complicated and burdensome. President Trump signed the America First executive order into action. Find out more from Update News reporter Lavina Pavel.
As President Trump pushes his new Buy American, Hire American order, San Jose State students and faculty wonder what the future impacts will be in the Silicon Valley, where many companies hire overseas employees. The executive order signed by Trump on April 18th during his Wisconsin visit specifically targets the H-1B visa program, which allows 85,000 foreign workers to work in American companies. Trump argues that H-1B visas take jobs away from young college-trained Americans.
We are sending a powerful signal to the world. We're going to defend our workers, protect our jobs, and finally, put America first.
The executive order also calls for review of federal programs to increase government procurement of U.S.-made goods. The administration suggests that the executive order will stimulate domestic job creation.
We have a lot of what we have right now, the technology that we have, because of people who came from different places and have that knowledge and that skill set that a lot of people here don't have.
San Jose State students question the local impact of this order.
I'm worried about the future of international students, whether it be in 5 years or 50 years.
Administration officials say they hope to create higher wages and higher employment rate with signing of this order. This has been Lavina Pavel for Update News.
Gas prices have been low for a couple years now, but a new tax will raise them soon. Tyler Kittle has more on this story.
California's gas tax will increase by 12 cents per gallon, and diesel will increase by 20 cents per gallon by November 1st. The law is intended to raise money towards improving transportation infrastructure, including road repairs. The bill's authors estimate that poor roads cost an average of $700 of damage to consumer vehicles.
If you don't address a problem for a long time, then at some point it becomes so large that no one can ignore it, and that's really where we're at right now.
The tax is expected to collect $15 billion for local street and road maintenance and another $15 billion for highway maintenance over the next 10 years through the higher fees. However, the increased price may be felt at more places than the pump.
So as you increase the price of gasoline, part of that increased transportation cost gets passed on to consumers through higher prices for goods. Particularly, we see that with the cost of food.
The law is expected to raise a total of about $52 billion in the next 10 years, which will be spent on multiple programs such as the Active Transportation Program and highway bridge maintenance. Gas is not the only tax that will be raised. Vehicle license fees will be increased between $25 and $175, depending on the value of the vehicle.
I feel like 12 cents, maybe not the biggest deal, like people that are paying with cash, like that's the difference of cash and credit.
As SJSU has many commuters, both faculty and students, many will be paying the tax. Assistant Economics Professor Justin Reitz said that the tax may impact lower-income individuals the most. This is Tyler Kittle, Update News.
Bay Area residents have an interesting housing option to tackle the sky-high property prices in the area. Mercedes Martinez has more on this.
Given the exorbitant rents and property prices in the Silicon Valley, millennials might soon have to invest in tiny houses to opt for more affordable and eco-friendly. Moreover, this might be an easier solution for those looking to avoid a 30-year mortgage payment.
Are affecting the real estate market just because of the prices here in the area. They're really high, rentals high, prices are high if you're looking to buy.
SJSU student Ronnie Balaharia left his apartment in Pleasanton and moved to Gilroy, where he now owns a tiny house with his girlfriend on her parents' land, where they don't have to worry about rent or electricity bills. He shares his perspective as to why he feels tiny houses are on the rise.
Tiny houses are going to become a trend because the house prices in the Bay Area are ridiculous. There's no one that can afford a house out of college, especially with loans and debt.
Ronnie and his girlfriend Molly Goldsmith both decided to purchase their $69,000 tiny home and now continue paying $2,300 rent for a one-bedroom in Pleasanton. Molly also describes her decision of downsizing based on an eco-friendly perspective.
We wanted to buy a tiny home because we wanted less of a carbon footprint. We didn't want to have a lot of things that eventually end up in the landfill, and we just wanted to have a small space.
For students still enrolled in school, investing in tiny houses are a real option for a more affordable and eco-friendly solution. This is Mercedes Martinez, Update News.
Now we turn to Samantha Verdugo with sports.
Thanks, Omar. SJSU baseball entered interconference play against St. Mary's. Omar Perez has more on the game.
JSU baseball team took on the St. Mary Gales as they looked to snap a 6-game losing streak. The Spartans struggled early as they would fall 2-0 in the first 2 innings. It wasn't until the bottom of the 3rd inning when sophomore shortstop Aaron Pleshner got the team's first hit of the night.
We've been talking about mental toughness a little bit as a team and as a team and the staff, and we kind of use it to fuel ourselves. Not when we're behind, not take things for granted and just kind of work.
A 3-run home run by Shane Timmons got the Spartans back into the game as they would cut a Gales lead 5-4, eventually setting up the Spartans to win the game 6-5. SJSU's junior first baseman says the team's ability to remain focused despite being down aided their comeback.
It's just nice to be at the plate and be confident and have the ability to do that, and hopefully get our team going, because sometimes it does get kind of dead in the dugout and we need a little motivation.
Despite the losing record in the month of April, Timmons attributes the team's success to the time the team spends on defense.
All year I think that we've been pretty solid on the defense side. It's just comes down to all the work that we do defensively. We always spend time during practice working on it and selling out.
SJSU now sits at 6th place in the Mountain West Conference after its win over the Gales. SJSU head coach Jason Hawkins says the team's biggest focus is to continue to work on being more consistent.
We get in some moments in games sometimes where we freeze up a little bit and we're out of character, and that's the biggest thing that we're working on. I thought tonight we were in character, and talked to him after the game about regardless of what happened tonight, we got to continue to get better at that.
SJSU plays May 5th against San Diego State back here in Municipal Stadium. With Update News, Omar Perez.
And that's all we have for sports this week.
That's all for this week.
Thanks for watching. To find out more about Update News, look for us on social media.